On this channel, I tend to focus primarily on space games, things like EVE Online, Stellaris, EVE Echoes, or Infinite Lagrange, but long-term viewers will know that I do have a penchant for occasionally going off on a tangent and showcasing other games that I'm really enjoying playing. Essentially, as Otto Mechanic once put it, I'm having fun, here's how you can too. I've also had a really good working relationship with the indie publisher Super Rare Games. They've provided review codes in the past for Grapple Dog and Lone Ruin, two games that I thoroughly enjoyed, so when they reached out to me and offered a review copy of Lateralis Heavy Industries' latest game OTXO, a fast-paced dark roguelite with precise but savage gunplay and time-bending slow motion, well, I was intrigued. This is not normally the kind of game I play. It's a lot faster paced, a lot more sort of visceral than I'm used to playing, but I've surprised myself and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie, and welcome to my review of Lateralis Heavy Industries' latest game, OTXO. OTXO is immediately reminiscent of games like Hotline Miami. It is a top-down shooting game with very precise controls and these really wicked environments where essentially you kick the door down and try to kill all the guards before they kill you. It does have a load of unique twists though, but we'll get to that later on. Again, this normally isn't the kind of game I would pick up. I'm not particularly good at twitchy games. First-person shooters and stuff like that tend to be way beyond my skills, and OTXO is no different. This is a game that I genuinely suck at, but it is one that is so unrelenting in its power fantasy that I genuinely don't care. This, to me, is what it feels like to play a John Wick game. This is literally, if John Wick had been on the NES or released back in 1995 with these pixel art graphics, this is the kind of game I'd expect to have been a film tie-in. It is brutal, but calling it just John Wick the video game really sells it short. So let's really dive into what this game has going on. I'm going to talk about the graphics first of all, because these are going to be divisive. Like, I'm not going to lie, these graphics are going to be divisive. Some people love this kind of basic pixel art, other people find it intensely off-putting. And I can kind of see why. OTXO uses a limited colour palette of black and white with a few splashes of red here and there. It's kind of like watching a film noir, like the good old Sin City and stuff like this, that is that black and white with just these vibrant splashes that really bring out that visceral brutality. It does have the occasion of making it difficult to discern what's a table, what's just a cushion on the floor, what's a pattern, and all this kind of thing, which in the heat of the moment can cause issues from time to time, but the graphics for me, I'm personally quite fond of pixel art. This is a little bit toward the more basic end for me, and I would have liked to have seen a bit more sort of oomph and pizzazz in there, but ultimately I get the style they're going for, and I like the style they're going for. Now for the gameplay though in OTXO, this is where this absolutely shines. You are essentially this random dude who wakes up on a beach wearing a white mask. The groundskeeper who you meet kind of recognises you. He says, "Oh, you're the latest OTXO. Yes, you were probably the last thing you remember. You were with your dearly beloved. She's now in the mansion, so off you go to rescue her. Beware though, it's completely guarded from top to tail by guards who will kill you the second they see you. You're going to have to gunplay your way through all of them in order to rescue her, but don't worry, if you die, you just start it all over again, and again, and again, and again." It's the typical roguelite setup, and ultimately it works really well here, because there are times when new NPCs will crop up on the beach or in the starting areas. You can talk to them and get a bit more information about the world as it's growing and what's actually going on here. You learn very early on that the word OTXO means wolf. You are a savage hunter that is going to be stalking these hallways, bloodthirsty for your prey. And oh boy, things come out of the door screaming. You walk into the first room, you take a drink, which is like a randomly determined buff that you'll use for your run, you throw the glass on the floor and smash it in the most badass way possible, pick up your rifle, and enter the infinite foyer. And then it's just a case of kick down the doors, shoot the guards before they kill you, dodge roll under the bullets, and use your focus to go into a Matrix-esque bullet time, or Max Payne-esque bullet time, depending on which way your references lie. It is a addictive. This just intensely savage gameplay where you sit there and you're wanting to try and keep going as fast as possible to keep a score multiplier going, but you also need to be able to dodge and weave around cover, take aim at opponents from sometimes some quite long distances, shoot them before they kill you whilst dodge rolling under their bullets and slowing time so that you move faster than their bullets can track you. And then when you hit someone, that visceral display, the moment that you've killed a guard, that just black and white screen, that black and white canvas just is splashed with gore absolutely everywhere. It's striking, it's visceral, and it is insanely hard. Like, genuinely, I die a lot playing this game. A lot. Genuinely, this kind of twin-stick shooter, although it's done with keyboard and mouse, is something I've always struggled with. I enjoy these games, Housemarque, a lot of their games I've enjoyed of this kind of genre, but this, it may be difficult, I may die all the freaking time, but I just want to jump back in every single time because that gameplay loop is just so addictive. You feel like John Wick, you feel like Neo, you feel like a freaking badass. Boot the door down, slow down time, cartwheel and roll through the hail of bullets coming towards you behind a pillar, leap out behind the enemies and gun them down with an assault rifle or a shotgun or whatever. And the game makes it so that you are constantly swapping weapons. You don't pick up ammo in this game. When an enemy dies, they drop their weapon, and that weapon is usually a full clip with an extra magazine. And it also does something really unusual for video games. You know how you're used to kind of shooting one shot out of a 30 bullet clip and then just reloading just in case you need that one later? Yeah, if you do that in this, you've lost the other 29 bullets. You literally take the entire magazine out, throw it away, and put in a fresh one. So you don't want to reload the second you've done a couple of shots. No, you want to wait until the very last second, slam a new clip in whilst dodge rolling into cover, only to re-emerge with a full shotgun full of shells just to blast someone in the face. It's empowering. It is pure, unadulterated power fantasy. And that constant swapping of weapons, the moment that you're out of ammo with one weapon, you just need to grab whatever the hell happens to be on the floor. It could be another assault rifle, it could be a shotgun, silenced pistol, it could even be shurikens and grenades, for crying out loud, or kunais I think they actually are. But there's just this brilliant weapon variety that does get expanded on as you go through the game. Essentially, the more you play, the further you get in, there is a nun, a battle nun, who will add new weapons to the enemies. And I love this mechanic as well, because if you want the most powerful weapons, you don't just have them like as loot drops on the floor, you have to kill the enemies wielding them first. So if you want a run full of really overpowered weapons, the enemies are also going to be just as powerful. If you want to have an easier run, you could make it so that the enemies are all just carrying pistols and knives and things, but then that's all you're going to be able to use, right? It's this beautiful little entwined difficulty system going on that I just absolutely adore. It's so clever, so smart, and I love it. And there are other things that you get as you go on through as well. As I mentioned, when you're in the Rose Room, you can take a drink before you go in, and this will give you one of 3 randomly determined buffs. You pick which of those 3 you like the look of, and there is a woman in the Rose Room who will use the money that you've earned through your runs to import more drinks, which then allow you to start choosing your buffs and selecting those, and that's a really cool little progression system. Yeah, when you die, you go right the way back to the beginning, but you've unlocked new weapons, you've unlocked new drinks, and that may help you on future runs, and that kind of feels like Returnal, a game that I've mentioned on this channel before that I freaking love to pieces. And on the subject of this being an unadulterated power fantasy, oh my goodness, we can't not talk about the soundtrack. I'm using it as the background music for this video currently. Oh my goodness, it is just insanely good. Like, every game I've played by Super Rare Games has had good sound in it. I think a lot of studios, a lot of indie studios do focus a lot on the sound development, and they tend to be that more old school game design. Gone are the orchestral swirls and ambient background noises of modern AAA. No, here we have pulse-pounding dark disco. This is the kind of music that you would party to in hell, and it just works. Running through corridors, rolling, gunning things down, listening to pounding electronic beats, shrill, guttural like electronics. It's I was sent a copy of the soundtrack for use in this review. Ultimately, I've actually now just put that on my playlist and I listen to it, just everyday stuff, even like playing EVE Online, listening to the OTXO soundtrack, because it is that freaking good. It is that good, like genuinely, I need to just let this go quiet for a moment just so that you can hear some of the samples of music in this game. And so with all of that said then, I think the bottom line is this one worth it? I like to always just ask that question of, are you going to enjoy this game? Is this something you should pick up? And ultimately, this video's probably in like the 10 minutes at this point in time. If you're still listening to this right now, if you're still watching this, yeah, this is probably going to appeal to you. It is fun. It's a bit gory, it's over the top visceral, it's nasty, but it's so good. If you are keen on sort of that twitchy, fast-paced gameplay, this is one of the best games like this I've played. It's been years since I played Hotline Miami, but this takes me right the way back with some really cool, unique twists. The boss fights are so cool in this game. It feels like you're playing a bullet hell shooter then all of a sudden. It's just that shift in gears that just, For me, this was not the kind of game I normally would have picked up. If this was on Steam and someone just kind of said, hey, you know, what do you think of this? I'd be like, oh, it looks cool, but not really my kind of thing. Now that I'm sitting here playing it, how wrong I would have been. I am adoring this game. If, like, fast-paced action gameplay is your thing, as a break from the more sedate stuff of, like, EVE Online and Infinite Lagrange and stuff like that, then, yeah, oh my goodness, give this one a try. I am utterly in love with a game I had no understanding. I would never have picked this up. I genuinely never would have picked this up, but now I can't stop playing it. It is that good. Anyway, folks, that's my thoughts and opinions on OTXO. If you like the look of this, head across to Steam. It is available now or tomorrow, depending on what time zone you're watching this in. Ultimately, yeah, it's an indie game. Support those indie dev studios. If you like what you see, support them. Pick up a really cool game that you will thoroughly enjoy. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and see you all next time.